So, good day, everybody. Being among the first that rules the world is a rare gift. Data analysts are amongst the few that rules the job world. My name is Lola Ajala, and welcome to Data Analyst Mastery, where I'm going to teach you to become an expert data analyst in just 7 days, even if you're a complete number newbie, aka you don't like maths. So what am I going to be teaching you here? I'm going to be putting you through how to turn data into real life and actionable insights for informed decision making. So why am I like the person that is should be teaching you this? So for 6 years I've been a data analyst, and for the first 3 years I happen to be a customer insight analyst, where I dig deeper into what customers want. And I did that with my organization in Lagos in about 200 locations. So I go to several locations and collect this data, work on this data and all of that, so that the organization can exactly know what each of their customers feels in a particular geographical area. So before we start up everything, just some quick stats that I would like you guys to know about. So who is a data analyst? A data analyst is someone who collects, processes, and performs statistical analysis of data to actually derive actionable insights, just as I said here all the time. And according to Glassdoor, that happens to be a job site in the US, data analysts reclaim the top spots for the second year in a row. So which means that data analyst as a job, data scientist so to say, which is also very much related to being a data analyst, reclaim the top spot for the second year in a row. So what this tells us is that data analyst, data scientist role is something that is in top demand. So everyone is actually asking for it. This person is actually calling for it. Everyone actually wants it, which opens this up to us that there are several opportunities in this area. And that word, okay, so I need to do a kind of clarification about data analyst. So that word can definitely be used interchangeably. So there's just a very little difference that lies between a data analyst and a data engineer and a data scientist, and of course a data miner. So there isn't any big difference. So it's just like an additional skills in each, but on the basic, data analyst rules it all. So maybe for you to be a data engineer, you should have like an additional knowledge of maybe a language, maybe Python. So for you to be a data miner, maybe you should have an additional knowledge of all of this. But the basic thing that you should know for you to function very well as a data analyst is that you should be able to collect data, you should be able to process the data, you should be able also to actually perform statistical analysis on this data to actually derive actionable insight. And of all this, what's also very important is that you should be able to communicate your findings in the best way as related to your audience. So take for instance your social audience and your executive audience. So take for instance like what I basically do in my job is that I actually do my data analysis for my organizations, my managers and my directors to make informed decisions. So what this tells us is that it is more of my communication of insight that I got from my data is more of an executive thing. So if it is, take for instance, like a social data that you use to inform your social audience, so maybe on social media and all of that, yes. So what you will be using, because you can actually get a report and just slap them on people's face on social media. So it is something that you actually have to do in a format that is relatable to your audiences. So in this course, I'll teach you how to turn data to insight and how to communicate this in the best way possible according to your audience. And why am I saying all this? Why why is it that that job site, Glassdoor, rates said a data analyst, data scientist reclaimed the top spot for the second year in a row, as in since 2016. It was claimed in 2016, and of course in 2017 it was also reclaimed. Why actually is this happening? Three main reasons, and those three main reasons I'm going to share with you right now. The first is that there is shortage of talent everywhere. So having this specialized talent of a data analyst is kind of very short. And the reason is, as a data analyst, you must have two key talents. And those two key talents are kind of opposite to each other. So when I say opposite to each other, what I mean is that there's a part that the right brain does, and there's another part that the left brain does. And it's somewhat always not easy for you to be dominant, for maybe your right brain or the left brain to be dominant at the same time. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that those two skills, the first is a technical skill, and the second is a creative skill. So for you to have that technical skill depends on how you interpret data, how you organize this data, how you claim data, your deep understanding of translating this data into insights, those large chunk, breaking them and categorizing them the way you should, putting them in their places and all of that. So that's the technical part. Why the creative part is, how do you actually communicate this data in the best possible way that your audience will relate with. So the first part is the technical part, while the second part is the creative part. Two, organizations continue to have challenges in organizing their data, so they definitely need somebody like you to help them collect, process, and of course analyze this data so that they can get meaning from it. Because in every 1,000 organizations, they definitely do not expect their decision makers to actually go and take a look at this data and maybe process them and communicate them for them to make informed decisions. They need a key data analyst in place, able to help them look through the whole of this data and communicate it, look through the whole of this data, process it, and actually communicate it to them in a best way possible so that they can have a deeper understanding of this data, then being able to make decisions out of this data. So that's the second. So organizations keep needing data analysts to actually help them do all of this. Why the third is that the job data analyst, as everybody says, or as most people think, is no longer restricted to tech companies. Yeah, because the brain or the sense that everybody has is that yes, as a data analyst you can only work in tech companies. Yeah, so just tech companies. But that's a very big lie. The job data analyst is no longer restricted to the tech companies. Everybody needs a data analyst. Everybody needs data analysis. So be it marketing, be it sales, be it real estate, be it education, be it online business, be it finance, everybody, be it technology itself, everybody needs the services of a data analyst. So in my 3 years in my 6 years, so to say, of working as a data analyst, I've been through, I have gone through every of these things. So take for instance, when I started as a customer insight analyst, most of the time I go to locations. So I do a kind of geographical or a social intelligence job in that sense. So I look at the geography of a particular place. I collect data about that geography using using map balls and some kind of tools like that. So I do a kind of processes analysis. Then I put my responses on a map that actually pinpoints the whole of these locations, and it is for my organization to actually make informed decisions. So I also did in the technology world, so actually still related to the geographical aspect in some sort. So I actually know about the strength of services, that's basically telecommunications. To know about the strengths of these several network services in several areas. So it's kind of broad. So I also did it in real estate to know about the viability, to do a kind of due diligence. Let me use that word. To do a kind of due diligence for some infrastructures, from some plots like that. So it's basically it's wide, it's complex. So what you as a data analyst need to do, what every organization needs you to do, is to uncover some hidden patterns and help them spot opportunities and create insights for the betterment of the organization. Which organization doesn't need that? Huh? Every organization needs somebody to help them spot opportunities so that they can actually capitalize on that or leverage on that to make more business. So why is this skill very important for you? Why? Just as it was or it is still important to me. Why is this data analysis skill important to you? Just three reasons. Because it keeps you at the edge of everything, just as I said the other time, that being at the top, being a part of those that rule the world is a rare gift. And like I said, that data analysts are among those few that rules that job world. So how can you be a part? Why is it that this data analysis job will make you be a part of those that rule the job world? Number one, the data analyst job has high job score and satisfaction ratings. So according to Glassdoor, because yeah, the stats is there, that the job as data analyst has high job score. Several people rate it high. You understand? And Glassdoor comprises of recruiters looking for people to actually recruit for a particular position, and it also comprises job seekers looking for opportunities. So this data is being gathered from recruiters and those job opportunities. So take for instance, somebody went for an interview, and maybe during the process, that person sees the need for data analyst skills, the data analysis skills. So this person, we kind of make a kind of comments or a review that yeah, this stuff is being needed. And recruiters are definitely most times asking about that job analysis, job analytics role. So it has high job score, and the satisfaction ratings according to recruiters and job seekers, it's also very high. Also, Glassdoor noticed that the number of job rating is high. So people keep asking for it. People keep asking I need somebody to take my old chunk of break them into pieces and actually tell stories from them. So several people are always asking about that. And of course, it has good salary strength. So as you can see, the average salary for a data analyst in the US is about 110K to 150K, and this is just basic as a data analyst. So as you grow up, as you move further by being a data miner, a data scientist, data engineer, this pay goes up because those requires a little bit more skills to actually, is for you to upskill. So as a data analyst, you can upskill to be a data scientist. You can also upskill to be a data miner. You can also upskill to be a data engineer, and all of that. So the all of these little process that I've just made mention of actually requires a little bit more skills, and but this course covers basically as a data analyst. So in subsequent courses, yes, I may be showing to you acquiring these other little skills to actually up your game. But in this course, generally it's just for data analyst, and aside this, presentations kind of thing, I'm going to be showing you the step by step, straightforward ways that this is being done. So most of the time I'm not going to be showing you this PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to be taking you to the real business. You understand? I'm going to be taking you out, taking you to a screen like this, opening up, the tools that I use to actually the tools that I use to move from each phase of our data analysis process. So being a data analyst, what are some of the other specialized goodies generally, aside from just the box of data and data? What are the other environments with which it works, or what are the other goodies that you have with it? Number one thing, you should know that it is very easy to start. So it's not something that needs to, take you several times. And that's the reason I told you the other time that in just 7 days, you can actually become a data analyst. And even if you're a complete number newbie, aka you hate maths, with all of that, you can still be a data analyst. It's just something very little. So that's the reason I said that it is very easy for you to start. All you need to do is know the right skills, know the right process, and of course, which is number one, have the right mindset to this. So whenever, as long as you have all of those, the sky is just, your start point. You can actually go beyond the stage of a data analyst faster. You understand? And in interview process, in jobs, and if you position yourself by talking about the skills you have, those that know that you're not a baby in this domain. So by being a data analyst, you should also know that you are being a part of the most demanded profession in the world. So I did a kind of I did some googling. You can also do that. I did number one, like the top needed jobs in the world, and this role as a data analyst comes up. So it didn't actually come up as data analyst, but it came up as market research analyst, which is basically, part of the job of a data analyst. Because if you're not a data analyst, you can't do market research. So because doing market research also entails collecting data about the market, processing this data about the market, then making informed decisions about the market. So it's just like a data analyst working in the marketing on the sales field. Also, it is multidisciplinary. It is a multi-industry kind of role. So just as I said, I've worked in development, despite the fact that I'm a data analyst. I've worked with the development team, helping them gather data, process data, and communicate this data. I've worked in HR, I've worked in technology, I've worked in sales, I've worked in marketing. You understand? Because for the first 3 years, I was a customer insight analyst, and for another 3 years, I was an operations research analyst. So these things are basically research. Also, by being a data analyst, you become an authority. So become an authority in the real estate domain. So despite the fact that it's not your main thing, because by the time you do research in that angle, you know basically everything in that space, because you've done your research, you've asked questions, you've spoken to people, you've learned several things. So by talking in that field, it presents you like an expert. And the same thing goes for sales, for marketing, and all of that. So you can also become a specific domain campaign expert. So take for instance, I choose to totally go into real estate today. So I want to be a data analyst in the real estate domain. So all I need to do is do my research, gather my data, have a deep understanding of the space, then I'm good to go. So it's just easy. And of course, being a data analyst opens you to new skills opportunities, because you keep learning tools, you keep learning skills. And one thing I need you to have at the back of your mind is that most of these tools, most of these skills are very, very easy to learn. You should know how to talk to people, you should know how to ask questions, you should know how to relate with people. So emotional intelligence is actually needed in this field. So it's very little. And those that I've been mentioning in this course, yes, are something that I'll put you through as this course moves on. So let me actually give this a snippet. So talking to people and collecting data. So it's one very deep skill that a data analyst must have. You should know how to talk to people and get data from them. So I have a formula for that. I have a SETI formula that I can actually put you through, and with that, you're good to go. So aside all of these things, if take for instance you don't want to work for an organization, you can actually be an independent consultant. You can be an independent data consultant, and if you position yourself very well, organizations will pay you big money to actually do this for them. You could pay you between 300 to 500,000 naira to actually help them look at their process, spot out the bottlenecks in their process, then suggest or recommend solutions for them. Or they can actually have you look at their business, have you look at their process, and also for you to help them uncover the hidden prospects or opportunities in their business. So in this course, basically, what am I going to teach you? What am I going to tell you? What am I going to show to you? I'll teach you how to write a research plan, because it is very, very important. It is like a spectrum. Research is like a spectrum. Being a data analyst is like a spectrum. You should know where you're starting from and where you are going. So it is a spectrum. So at each space, you should know what you're doing. You should have a feel of problems that you that you might encounter, and also have a kind of solutions to it. So have a feel that okay, should this kind of problem comes up, this is how to go about it. So you should have a deep understanding of all of this. Number two, I'm going to teach you how to design a survey, because designing survey is kind of technical, and it needs you to bring down your brain and put yourself in the shoes of your audience, talking about those that you're collecting this data from. Put yourself in the shoes of your audience and know how to ask this question. So one of the techniques is that you don't ask 2 questions at a time. Like saying, why do you want to go to school, and what kind of school do you want to go to? So you shouldn't ask two questions at a time, because if you ask the question of why do you want to go to school, and what kind of school do you want to go, you're asking two questions. Which of those two do you want your respondent to answer? So it is always best to ask the simpler one first, then step it a bit forward, like saying, okay, what kind of school do you like? Then after that person give a response to that, you can say, so why do you like that kind of school? So designing survey is very, very technical, and I'm going to put you how to design specific surveys. And I'm going to teach you also the data collection process. So there's a wide range of data collection processes. So how do you collect your data? So there's some data that, because there's some data that you collect looking at the field of your respondents and all of that. So there are several that you just leave out their feelings and just collect directly. And there are several tools that are being used here, and of those, and I'm going to put you the all of those tools. There are about 6 of them. So I'm going to put you through the whole of these data collection tools and the process with which you can actually collect the whole of this data. I'll talk to you about data cleaning, help you clean data. So if you have a large chunk of data, so that's basically where most number newbies, like I said, those that do not like mathematics, that is exactly where they have problems. So when they see that large chunk of data, see numbers flying around like the kids in like stars on earth. So when they see these numbers flying around, they get shocked, they're intimidated, and they don't know actually how to work on this data. So don't be intimidated. Those numbers are there for you to control. You can actually cut them into pieces, then analyze each of them in piecemeal, and then go on with that. So I'm going to teach you the data cleaning process. I'm going to teach you how to code this data. I'm going to teach you how to analyze this data. So that's for the analysis stage. So I'll also teach you data storytelling. So how to tell you stories with data. So how to write executive reports. So that's basically what I do most. So write so after my data is being collected, processed, and analyzed, so I write a report for executive decision making. So I'm going to put you through how to write an executive report, and of course the last but not the least, in the 7-day data analysis mastery, I'm going to teach you also how to visualize data. So this is just the introductory class, and we'll take it in the first class, which is basically how to write a research plan. And you know what? In that class, we shall be dealing less of this fancy looking PowerPoint presentation. We're actually going to get down on Google Docs or on Microsoft Word to actually put all of these steps into place. The tables you'll be needing, each of the things that you shall be dealing with, what you shall be writing, the words that you should use, and all of that. So until then, have a nice day, enjoy yourself, and have a positive mindset. Thank you very much.